Welcome to part 5 of the Learning Table Tennis series. If you haven't already, you should watch the first 4 videos in this series, especially part 4 where I introduce the mechanics of the basic forehand counter hit and TT Edge member Ben. Today, we are going to break down Ben's forehand and try and put him on the right track. As you will see, I'm going to find a lot of common mistakes Ben is making, and I'll put together a basic action plan which will be the first step in this process of improving all of his strokes. I don't expect this video to solve 100% of Ben's problems on his forehand hit, as it is just the starting point. I believe all TT Edge members will benefit from Ben's experience. Many of you will be able to relate with at least one of his common mistakes and put together your own action plans to improve your strokes one by one. I'm going to be very honest about Ben's strokes, as sugarcoating errors is misleading and it won't help Ben or you to improve. Let's look at Ben's forehand counter hit and identify as many common mistakes as possible so we know exactly where he is at. Alright, Ben's feet are actually an okay distance apart, which is unusual for a developing player. 90% of club players have their feet too close together. Ben could definitely be wider though, as it is actually very difficult to be too wide, providing you learn to move correctly later on. Ben also bends his knees pretty well and keeps them bent at a similar angle throughout the stroke. I would however like to see the legs bent more, and he could be leaning forward slightly more too. His left foot is quite a long way in front of his right, so let's try evening them up a little. Having the left foot slightly in front is fine, but I think this is too much. Ben drops his shoulder during the backswing and he needs to keep his shoulders more even. He turns his shoulders back and forward on the stroke, which is great, however it is probably a little too much. A small, well-timed turn is sufficient. Ben's elbow position is his first major problem. The previous problems mentioned are mild compared to this one. Ben's elbow is way too close to his body and it affects his entire game in a negative way. His topspin stroke, which we will cover later, is too small, shallow and tense. Ben will need to get his elbow out about 8 inches from his body on all of his strokes. One of the consequences of having poor elbow position is Ben doesn't offer the ball the full face of the bat. If Ben was to contact the ball here in his swing, it would land somewhere here. I'm alluding to a bigger topic here and I will cover it in an upcoming video. For now, it's important to know that the ball should have a reasonable chance of going on the table regardless of where you strike it in your swing. So once Ben has the elbow out to the side, he should be finishing around this point here and certainly not here. Also, Ben's wrist is bent a lot during the stroke, robbing him of optimal mechanics. He will need to straighten up the wrist significantly to introduce a small whip type action to this stroke later. There is also too much topspin on this basic shot. The bat is starting too close and then Ben is coming up on the ball and finishing here to compensate. The stroke needs to be much flatter and through the ball. The bat should be much more open at the start. Although it's difficult to see in the video, Ben is holding the bat way too tight and he especially tightens his grip at the end of his strokes. It is even more pronounced on his topspin stroke. Holding the bat too tight is one of the common mistakes players make when they started table tennis after the age of 12. There are 2 ways of releasing tension. The first method is to slow down and the second is to objectively focus on existing tension. Let's start with slowing down and I'll cover method 2 later on. Now for the action plan. I have identified Ben's issues, however this is completely useless without an action plan. Step 1 for Ben. Shadow swing for 10 minutes every day until you get this right. Get in front of a mirror to get immediate and accurate feedback about your swing. Your legs need to be wide, bent and fairly even whilst you lean forward. You need to get the elbow away from your body for the entire swing. You should also keep the swing very small. Don't bend the wrist. Make sure your shoulders are even. Turn your shoulders only slightly. Using a mirror for shadow swinging is fantastic, providing you have a clear idea of how things should look. Step 2. Use your robot or multi-ball feeder to train the stroke for 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times over the next week. If you do more, that's fine. Slow your robot down and simplify everything. Make sure the robot is feeding the ball with only a little topspin and no deeper than the center of your side. Reduce the frequency to 1 ball every 1.5 to 2 seconds. Aim for the center of your opponent's side and no deeper. Using a target can help. Hit the ball at 20% of your maximum and no faster. If you feel tension, slow your stroke down even more. Make sure you are hitting the ball flatter without topspin. Video your play and then every 2 minutes go to the video camera or computer and watch your stroke. If you are still seeing common mistakes, work on them. You need constant feedback to learn. Don't keep doing things wrong for extended periods of time. Once you are satisfied that you have improved your basic mechanics, send me through your footage and I will make a follow-up video with further recommendations. If you've enjoyed this video, you can follow the entire series at ttedge.com. You will also find over 150 instructional videos by world-class player William Hensel, as well as my step-by-step tutorials that will teach you how to serve like a boss.